my fellow comic book collectors. It is going to be a really special episode. We are going to be, doing the price variance show where we're going to be looking at foreign issues. And the funny thing is, it's two foreigners doing it. We're, from Canada and the UK, and everything we buy is actually foreign anyways. But because we always think of, compared to the US, right? But we're going to get into some cool foreign stuff. I'm actually not going to be showing comics. I'm not going to show comics. So I'm going to show other things that are comic related, but not comics.
Okay. I have to say most of mine aren't comics either.
Oh, wow. So this is maybe a bit of a trend. Okay. So Mark, what's your first book?
Okay. So I've done a bit of European travel in the past couple of years. I tend to go to shops when I go. And the European comics quite often are in book format rather than in comic format. There's a very famous name five famous Belgians. Can you name five famous Belgians?
Like people?
Yeah.
What was the guy that kind of went into Africa and was killing everybody?
Is he a Belgian?
Yeah, he's a Belgian. He was a
okay. You're struggling to name any famous Belgians. So
yeah, I don't know any famous Belgians.
The only famous Belgian they can name is Hergé, who invented Tintin.
Oh, okay. So, I was thinking also Asterix guy. I think also was from Belgium.
French. I think he's Hergé is definitely Belgium. And yeah, I picked this up in France last year. So this is in a French edition of The Jewel of La Castifiore. This is quite an unusual one. And usually what happens with Tintin is they go off traveling around the world on their adventures. This is like a murder mystery, except it's who stole the ruby. In Captain Haddock's sort of mansion. So a bit unusual, this one. These if you can get these in first edition, first prints, these Tintin books,
quite rare, quite hard to find.
Yeah. And I picked this one up, and it's actually first edition. 1963. So this is a first edition.
It looked like a modern book, actually. I would have thought it was like just recently published, but 1963, it's in really great shape.
Yeah, and you've got all the Tintin characters on the back. You've got Tintin, his dog Snowy, Captain Haddock.
What are the two guys that are twins?
The Thompson twins. They're in just right up there. You can just see them. They're like British, stereotypical, British guys.
Bowler hat and
umbrellas, and they're always buffoons. They're always messing things. But this is written by a continental European who wants to make fun of the British all the time. So yeah. So really good. I really enjoyed when I was sort of about 12, 13. My best friend, I used to go around his house, and he had a complete set of Tintin comics and a complete set Tintin books and a complete set of Asterix books. So I'd just go around his house and read these, and he thought I was very antisocial. He brought me around to sort of play, cowboys and Indians and things like that. I just wanted to read all the Tintin books.
That's interesting. My brother actually collected Asterix and Tintin. So it's kind of interesting. Okay, so this first comic, well, not comic, but comic-like thing is from actually your neck of the woods.
Oh, yeah.
It is the British copy of Vampirella.
Oh, yeah, I've got that. That's the one I've got. Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually quite rare.
Yeah.
It's actually got a nice back as well.
It has.
I believe this is the cover for 12 or so. It's one of the early, but not first. It's not the same cover as the Vampirella for the the US. But this is, I think they only published one issue in the UK, or one or two issues in the UK. And then they switched over, they would just have like a British price, and then they would publish the rest.
Yeah.
But this, it's one of those rare collectibles and if you can pick them up, they usually go for about $100 or $200.
Okay, all
At
right.
least that's what they did back in the 90s when I bought it. That's how much I actually picked it up for cheaper than that, but they're fairly expensive. These British ones, they're quite rare. So something for you to look for since you're in the UK. Well, you said you already had one.
I've got
Yeah.
a couple of UK edition Vampirellas. I've got that one. It's in good condition as yours is.
Well, this one's actually pretty rough. It's not. I'd say it's like a 4. It's pretty rough.
Right, next up, I've got sort of this as a magazine that I picked up at Thought Bubble a couple of years ago. There was a Spanish guy there, Salvatore Guillomarecia, and he was selling. He and a sort of collective group, produced this sort of a comic magazine with really interesting art in it.
Oh yeah, I remember you showing this before.
Yeah,
this is
it's
nice.
amazing. Really interesting sort of avant-garde art. I quite like this sort of.
It kind of reminds me of like Chinese propaganda posters for some reason. The cover.
Yeah, it doesn't, but the cover certainly does. And it's sort of very underground, comic-y sort of feel to it in terms of the artwork. Adult themes and some really interesting stuff.
Wow.
This guy
almost like Escher like there.
Really pleased to pick up, and it was ridiculously cheap. I think it was something like he charged me £3 for it or something. And he also did me a sketch, and I'd picked up some of his artwork. So he was sketching this. I don't remember. I don't think he did. Oh yes, he did. Can you see that little fish thing down there?
Oh yeah. I remember you showed that. It's really
that's it. I left it. He said, "Leave it with me," and I came back half an hour later, and he'd done that little sketch for me on the inside.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah, and this is his sort of artwork. It's very pale and pastel. So yeah, I love this sort of different stuff. I like to see something different, not all the same. You can't get further away from X-Men and Spider-Man than this sort of stuff.
So okay, so that's really cool. I'm a big Vampirella collector, and actually a big Warren collector. And one of the grails for the Vampirella collection is the Vampirella special. Okay.
No. Yeah.
The way you would get at the time when it was published, the only way you could get the Vampirella special was to order it from the actual magazine. So you had to order it, and then you'd get. So there wasn't that many copies produced.
Okay.
But they actually had what was called the deluxe edition or hardcover edition.
No.
And those were extremely rare. So I think there's less than 300 known copies. It's an extremely rare book. However, there's one step higher in terms of rarity. Was the Vampirella special was done by Jose Gonzalez, and so he's in Spain, and the deluxe editions actually had his signature in them. Okay, but Vampirella was also produced in Spain. Okay, so they actually produced a Spanish version of that deluxe hardcover copy, but it was even lesser printed than the American copy, so it's even more rare. Well, I just happened to have that
wow
version. And it looks exactly the same on the outside, but it's all Spanish on the inside.
Very nice. That I've not seen that one before, Alan. That is
So this is, as I said, I have both the American and like the Spanish version, but this is much more rare. I think what Warren did was he would get a lot of these Spanish artists because they were very affordable, but they were very talented. So basically, they also secured the rights to print these. I think it was like Toulon that produced these in Spain. So very rare, very cool book. Vampirella Special, the Spanish edition. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm very jealous of that. That's the type of thing I was hoping to find when I went to Spain, and I couldn't.
Yeah, definitely. Finding the Spanish Vampirellas is quite hard. I actually have the complete Warren collection from Spain, which is quite big. So, yeah.
Right, my last one for your channel, Alan, is one of my favorite artists. It's Mobius. So I picked up this nice
Nice
hardback book of Mobius's artwork. He did do some work in American comics. He did a really nice little Silver Surfer 2-issue set on Silver Surfer. But he did occasionally, you will find him in strange titles. The last issue of the first run of Static has got
really?
got Mobius artwork in it. That's amazing. Why you would hire, a great like Mobius to do the artwork on the last issue of Static, which must have had a really low print run, beats me.
Yeah.
So do watch out for him. I always look out for him. If I find a comic with Mobius artwork in it, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I know the artist. I didn't realize he did Static though. That's very odd.
Yeah.
I associate him more with art books, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
Although he does, he did do some graphic novels, famous. Some really stunning artwork. And I have to be a bit careful with this because it's Europe.
I know. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, so absolutely gorgeous artwork, and the Europeans, the French and the Spanish, really do like these. Have to do.
So where is that? Where is this book from?
I got this in France. Yeah,
France. Okay.
Well, he's French. Yeah. So I went into one of the shops there and I said, "Have you got any Mobius stuff?" And the guy,
oh wow,
and he said, "Oh, yeah, we are." And obviously, I was allowed in the shop because I knew who Mobius was. When I first went in, the French don't like the English that much, and sort of,
yeah.
Said, have you on Mobius? Oh, we. You like
cool?
It? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mobius.
So you have some taste, even though you're English. Okay. So the last book that I'm going to show is actually a book. It's actually a book. A lot of the time, I don't know why they did this, but they would a lot of collectors of the magazines would take the magazines and bound them in a book, like bind them, do like book binding.
Yeah.
It just made it easier to read, and also a lot of the books, it's nice to just have that book format. So this is Vampirella.
Oh, right. I like that.
It's actually quite thick.
Yeah.
The only problem is because they do bind it, they had to cut, they do cut the size.
Yeah.
So you can see that.
Yeah.
You see how it's been cut.
It's been cut, yeah.
I actually have the non-bound version, but I just thought this was such an interesting format.
What country is this from?
This is from Turkey. These are Turkish Vampirellas. But it was actually a pretty good run of Turkish Vampirellas. Let's see, it's the whole books. Yeah.
Amazing.
And the Turkish Vampirellas are kind of interesting because they would have like these extra little movie panels inside them and stuff like that. And you can see like some of them were kind of more primitive.
Yeah.
Like this is like the cover. And they would have these unique covers. So the name of the it wasn't called it was actually Vampirella. But it's also another magazine called Corku. And which is kind of like creepy. So yeah, so it's just very interesting book.
Yeah.
So I thought, I got it from Turkey. I didn't go to Turkey. So way back in the day when I was collecting very actively,
Yeah.
I was kind of well known as a collector of Warren. I created all these contacts all over the world of like collectors in Japan, collectors in Turkey, collectors in Spain. Actually, the Spanish guy, that's how I got all the, he basically helped me get, like, there was this guy who actively was searching for the complete collection of Warren from Spain. So basically, and then I also experienced some guy from Turkey. I was making all these connections, and actually, my knowledge of the Warren situation, I got put into several books where they were quoting me about it.
Yeah.
So that's my claim to fame, collecting Warren books. So yeah, but it's very interesting. I thought it was a very interesting format. I'm going to actually show one more on your channel. So you got to go over to Mark's channel to see one more of these collected series. And the one I'm going to show on his is even bigger. It's actually much more amazing, amazing book that if you're a collector of Warren, you're going to love. So go over to Mark's channel and check us out there.